How to fix your gut health to lose visceral fat. If you want to lose your visceral fat, the dangerous fat that's wrapped around your organs, you need to understand what your gut is doing. And here is what no one is told. Visceral fat isn't just a calories in versus calories out issue. It's also a destroyed gut issue. We call this dysbiosis. And when your gut becomes inflamed, fat loss becomes this uphill battle. And in this video, I'm gonna show you the key villains that damage your gut every day, that you're eating unknowingly, and the heroes that you need to have in there to help repair it so you can finally target the root cause of your problem. And I definitely recommend sticking around for villain number 4 because it's what I call an inflammatory food, and you're probably eating this every day unknowingly, especially at restaurants. And most people have no idea how hard it hits your gut. My name is Dr. Michael Diamonds. I'm a medical doctor. I am a scientist with degrees in biochemistry and microbiology, and I am the founder of Scope by Science. With me and my team of medical doctors, we've helped thousands of clients rebuild their gut health, improve their metabolic markers, and finally, this allowed them to start losing the weight in a way that actually feels sustainable. I highly recommend that you watch till the end because I'm going to show you a simple way to track if your gut is truly healing without any apps, without any devices, just your own body giving you clear feedback. This is so powerful. So let's not waste time and let's jump straight in. Villain number 1 is what I call the mucus shredders, the emulsifiers. So I want you to open your fridge and grab any healthy packaged food. I am talking about a protein bar, almond milk, low-fat yogurt, and sugar dressing. And I want you to turn that food around, flip it over, and look at the ingredients. And you're probably gonna see this: polysorbate 80, carboxymethyl cellulose, and carrageenan. And these are what we call emulsifiers. Now, why are they in there? They keep the almond milk from separating, they keep your yogurt creamy, and it keeps your protein bar from crumbling. But here's the problem. Your gut is lined with a mucus layer, and the easiest way I can describe what that is, think of it as cling film or cling wrap over your intestinal wall. Now, what this does, it keeps the bacteria in your gut at a comfortable distance so that your immune system doesn't feel like it's getting poked all day long. And in animal research, emulsifiers have been shown to thin the mucus barrier, allowing bacteria to drift closer than they should. So what happens? When they get too close, your immune system is like, you shouldn't be here, and it reacts. Inflammation goes up, and that inflammation is the same thing. It's an internal signal that pushes your body towards storing visceral fat. Now, we're still learning how this plays out exactly in humans, but what I see in my clients is this: when they're doing everything right, they're tracking their macros, they're doing the workouts, they're sleeping well, but they say, hey, Dr. Mike, I'm still feeling bloated, I'm still feeling inflamed, I feel stuck. Emulsifiers often tend to be the hidden culprit. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients, Liz, and she was eating clean for months, but still woke up bloated and puffy. And we said, you know what, Liz, take a photo of all the foods in your fridge and send it to us. And almost everything she thought was healthy had these emulsifiers. We swapped them out. Her bloating disappeared in a week, and her morning waist measurement was going down nearly an inch consistently without changing anything. So now that we have this information, what do we do? If we're gonna use a dressing, let's say for our salads, olive oil and vinegar is what we wanna go for. If we're gonna go for yogurt, I want you to buy plain Greek yogurt. And if you need to make it sweeter, we want fruits like blueberries, strawberries. We want to add maybe some honey. And for almond milk, look for brands with almond, with water, and maybe salt, but nothing else. And as we go through the rest of these, I want you to pay attention to the ones that actually show up in your life the most. So just pay attention to it. And let me know in the comments, because this would be great for my research. 1, 2, 3, or 4 from the ones I'm about to mention, from these 4 villains. And if it's all 4 that you're eating every day, write all 4. And I will know which club you're part of, and it will help me make future gut videos as well. I will read every single one of those comments, and it will help me understand what to do in the next video. So let me know. Now, villain number 2, it's the gut dissolver, alcohol. Now, we all know alcohol isn't healthy. I call it a toxin, but most people have no idea how hard it hits the gut. Your intestinal lining is held together by tight junctions. So I want you to think of it like this. These are protein seals between your cells that control what passes through. A good way you can picture them, besides me just holding my fingers like this, is the grout between tiles in a shower, right? The little groove. Now, alcohol weakens those seals. And once these tight junctions loosen, bacteria and endotoxins, which are basically toxic byproducts from certain bacteria, can slip through this gut wall into your bloodstream so much more easily. This is all caused by increased intestinal permeability, or you may have heard the term leaky gut in every language. Now, your immune system reacts to this leakage with systemic inflammation. It has to protect your body, and inflammation is one of the strongest internal drivers of visceral fat. Now, this is the surprising part. This doesn't require heavy drinking, even moderate drinking. Just a few drinks a week can increase this permeability in some people. And one heavy night out can take your gut days or maybe even weeks to settle down. So here's what I tell all my business athletes at Sculpt by Science. No alcohol is best for gut repair. But if you're going to drink, make it intentional but not automatic. Space it out. If you drink on a Friday, wait until the next weekend. Give your gut time to recover. Another big recommendation, always eat before drinking. Food slows the absorption and reduces the hit on your gut lining. Alcohol is one people expect, but the next one people are never going to expect, which is villain number 3, the microbiome hijackers. Artificial sweeteners. These are also called non-nutritive sweeteners, right? So there's no nutrition in these sweeteners. This is the one that I still personally consume, but I'm here to present the science, even though it may hurt me. But people choose artificial sweeteners hoping to improve their health. Overall, I think artificial sweeteners are a net positive. But yes, we think no sugar equals fewer calories. And if we're choosing between real sugar and artificial, I'd rather deal with artificial. That's the villain I'm happy to deal with. But there are downsides to artificial sweeteners. They can shift your gut microbiome in ways that make your blood sugar harder to control. They can ramp up cravings, and they can also interfere with metabolic signals that usually will help you regulate your fat loss. Artificial sweeteners aren't real food for your real gut bacteria, your good ones specifically. They don't give you beneficial microbes or anything to ferment, and I'll talk about more why that matters in a minute here. And in some people, this pushes the microbiome towards species that impair blood sugar control, which makes fat loss, especially visceral fat loss, so much harder. Now, you'll find them everywhere. Diet sodas, sugar-free gum, protein powders, flavored waters, anything labeled zero sugar, light, or sugar-free has these artificial sweeteners. So these are some suggestions. The first suggestion I have is to replace your artificial sweetener with something called monk fruit. This is a fruit, and it's a natural non-nutritive sweetener, and it comes from monk fruit. Basically, the fruit gets crushed. That juice is basically dried and crystallized, and I've personally tried it before. It is less sweet compared to stevia, but it is a great substitute that's natural, that won't have all the effects on the gut. And I've personally stopped adding non-nutritive sweeteners in my coffee to keep it black, especially in my fasted state. I have personally noticed I have less sugar cravings, and it's not even artificial sweetener. I would also recommend, if you want, swap out the diet soda for sparkling water with lemon or lime. If you needed sweetness in coffee, you can use the monk fruit, you can use the honey, or you can use stevia leaf extract. Paired with enough fiber, your gut can handle the natural sweeteners far better. And while artificial sweeteners do hijack your microbiome, the next inflammatory food in your gut has this inflammatory compound, which is villain number 4, the inflammatory foods. And these are ultra processed seed oils. I'm talking about canola, I'm talking about corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil. They all contain something called omega-6 fats. Let's not confuse it with omega-3 fats. Now, omega-6 fats aren't bad. Your body actually needs omega-6 fats. It's essential fatty acid, meaning your body can't make it on its own. But the problem isn't the omega-6 itself, it's the imbalance. Your body also needs the omega-3 fats. These are the anti-inflammatory fats found in foods like salmon, sardines, mackerel, flax seeds, chia seeds. And the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 matters far more than most people realize. So humans historically are closer to a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 ratio. But because seed oils are added to so many processed foods, most people tend to be closer to that 15-to-1 ratio or even 20-to-1 ratio. And when this ratio leans too heavily towards omega-6, your body starts to go in a more inflammatory state. But here's the part that hits the gut the hardest. When seed oils are used in restaurants and fast food fryers, they're heated and reheated repeatedly. So this constant heat oxidizes the oils. Once they're oxidized, they form inflammatory compounds that can irritate the gut lining. Every time you eat fried fast food like fries that are cooked in vegetable oils or heavily processed snacks, you're not just getting empty calories, you're also getting hit by those damaged fats. So where do these show up? Dressings, mayo, chips, crackers, frozen fried foods, and almost every restaurant fryer. Now these are better options. Olive oil in a dark bottle, avocado oil, butter oil, and coconut oil. If you use seed oils at all, keep the heat low to medium so you're not really recreating this industrial deep fryer effect. So now that we have all the villains out of the way, let's talk about the heroes that are going to actively repair your gut and give your body internal signals so that visceral fat becomes far easier to lose. Hero number 1, I call this the cleanup crew: meal spacing. Your gut has a built-in cleaning system called the migrating motor complex, MMC. Every 90 minutes when you're not eating, your intestinal wall sends a wave of muscle contractions that sweep out leftover food and bacteria. And think of it like this Roomba in your gut, but it only runs when the kitchen is closed. So if you're constantly snacking, eating, sipping drinks, especially with calories, grazing, those cleaning waves never go through a solid run. The food sits in your gut for too long, and the bacteria drifts into areas that they don't belong. You'll start noticing that you're more bloated, inflammation goes up, and the signals that encourage visceral fat storage strengthen. This is when people do long fasts, they say, "I feel amazing." And here's what you need to do to give this MMC, this migrating motor complex, a chance to work. Space your meals about 4 hours apart. Between meals, I want you to drink more water, drink black coffee, drink black tea, plain tea, green tea. Stop eating every 3 hours or less, and stop eating 3 hours before bed. Aim for 12 to 14 hours of fast overnight. And this alone can dramatically change how your gut feels. Now, hero number 2. This is your bacteria fuel, the good fuel for your good bacteria, which is fiber. Beneficial gut bacteria need fuel, and that fuel is called fiber. Fiber is the part of plant foods your body can't digest, but your bacteria can, and that's the whole point. When fiber reaches your colon, your gut bacteria ferment it and produce something called short-chain fatty acids. These are compounds your microbes use to keep your gut healthy. They help repair your intestinal barrier, they lower inflammation, and it also supports better blood sugar control. And it even strengthens your mucus layer that we talked about earlier. And when you're not eating enough fiber, those beneficial bacteria are actually being starved. And when they don't have anything to ferment, the short-chain fatty acid production drops, and the gut lining becomes weaker and inflammation rises. And the signals that encourage visceral fat storage. And this is why people who undereat fiber, and this is exactly why people who undereat fiber, who don't really pay attention to it, often feel bloated. They are not as regular when they go to the bathroom. They're feeling very inflamed, and even when their calories are perfect, they often don't see the weight come off. And a bigger problem is that most people think that they're actually eating enough fiber, but the average intake for the person is around 10 to 15 grams per day, and that's barely half of what supports basic gut and metabolic health. And it's not just about hitting the number, it's about giving your gut bacteria a daily supply of what's needed to function. So here's a simple rule I like to give people who want to make this more automatic. I call it 3-to-1. 3 cups of vegetables, 2 pieces of fruit, and 1 serving of whole grains or legumes. No complicated tracking. You just need to hit those and you're giving your gut the raw materials needed to actually repair itself. Hero number 3, the selective fertilizer. These are called prebiotics. Now, not all fiber is the same. Some fiber actually adds bulk and helps things move along, but prebiotic fibers do something more targeted. What they do is that they selectively feed the good gut bacteria. I want you to think of prebiotics as the actual fertilizer that your gut actually wants a lot more of. And when you eat prebiotic-rich foods, species like Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus multiply, and as they grow, they naturally crowd out more inflammatory microbes. And this also shifts your overall microbes towards an environment that supports steady blood sugar control. It strengthens the gut lining we spoke about, and it makes visceral fat loss so much easier over time. So these are the best sources of natural prebiotic foods. Those are garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, Jerusalem artichokes, green bananas, and cooked potatoes or rice. Now, I'm gonna share something interesting with you. When you cook specific starches, it actually has structural changes. It creates something called resistant starch. And a resistant starch is essentially pure food for your gut bacteria. And I've actually made a whole video about how to eat carbs without spiking your insulin, and I'll link it in the description below. Check it out if you want to understand exactly how carbs are used in this way to support your gut and also to stabilize your metabolism. And as you increase your prebiotic intake, you might notice that you're a little bit more gassy, but also more full at first. And this is just often your microbes adjusting to finally getting the fuel that they've been missing. But start small, give your gut a few days, maybe a week or 2 to adapt, and then gradually build up the quantity. Now, your microbes respond quickly when it gets the right inputs. And this is hero number 4. They're diversity builders, the fermented foods. Fiber and prebiotics feed the good gut bacteria that you already have. Now, fermented foods can actually introduce new ones. Most probiotic supplements contain a small handful of these strains, but fermented foods can contain dozens and sometimes even hundreds that you won't get from supplements. And they survive the stomach acid, and they actually improve your intestines dramatically. And this influx of new microbes help increase this microbial diversity in your gut, and this actually improves your inflammation. It lowers it, and it also gives you better metabolic health, and it also stabilizes your digestion. And that matters because a diverse microbiome creates the exact internal environment where visceral fat becomes so much easier to lose. And it's the difference between a gut that constantly feels irritated and inflamed compared to a gut that's functioning smoothly and it's sending the right metabolic signals. So to get that benefit, rotate through these fermented foods that I'm about to share with you: plain yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, my personal favorite, kimchi, and naturally fermented pickles are great options. Just make sure that the labels say things like life culture, naturally fermented, unpasteurized, and that's how we know that the beneficial gut bacteria that's in there is still intact. One serving a day is enough to make a difference, and then you can build out from there and just adjust. Fix the gut and the change in the internal signals that keep your visceral fat stuck. You don't need to overhaul everything. Just pick one villain, reduce it, and add in one hero, and continue making that change. And maybe you cut out the emulsifiers, maybe you add more fermented foods, maybe you reduce the alcohol intake, maybe you give your gut 12 to 14 hours overnight. But stay consistent with this for a few weeks, and your body will start sending different signals: calmer, less inflamed signals that make visceral fat easier to lose. And here's the tracking that I mentioned that will work as promised. Every morning, rate your bloating from 1 to 5 and note how your waist feels in the same pair of pants. Those 2 things are the clearest home indicators that your gut is healing. And if you want to take it a step further, watch the video that I've linked in the description about how to lose visceral fat. Some people have said it is the best video they've ever seen on losing visceral fat quickly, and also how to not spike your insulin. It's the perfect follow-up to this one, because when your gut and your blood sugar are in control, visceral fat becomes so much easier to lose. Take care of your gut, and I'll see you in the next one. And that video is right here for you guys. Cheers.